This screencast is to support this lesson on countable and uncountable nouns and quantifiers on the topic of preparing and cooking food. It's from Language to Go Upper Intermediate, Unit 12 by Antonia Clare and J.J. Wilson, and it's published by Longman. So we've got some speaking and vocabulary at the start, some word matching connected with cooking, and then some listening and speaking, and some focus on countable and uncountable nouns and quantifiers, followed by practice. So for your lead-in, you want to get your students talking about food. It's a great topic. Everybody likes and dislikes different food. So the coursebook suggests some questions to get them talking together. You could show a video, a short video. You could complement the questions in the book with some visuals. It's up to you. Just get the students engaged in the topic. Next, we want to get the students to match some words related to cooking with their definitions. So we've got a box here with various cooking words, and they need to match with these definitions here. So do the first one together and allow them to do the rest either on their own and peer check, or to talk together and match them up. And then get some feedback, making sure that they can see the answers. During feedback, there will be some that you will need to check the meaning of, just to make sure that they're really sure and clear on that. So select which words you think may be a little tricky. For example, simmer, that probably will be a new word for them. So think of some concept checking questions to really clarify the meaning of that. Melt, you might ask for some examples of things that melt. And perhaps pour would be a useful one. And then decide which ones in there are tricky to say, and drill some of them. The double vowel, the diphthong in boil and roast and pour might be worth drilling. Now we're going to look at exercise 3. The coursebook says look at pictures 1A and 2A and match the names of the ingredients with their pictures. I would make this more challenging initially by not giving them the vocabulary and just giving them the pictures and asking them to talk together and name as many of the ingredients as they can. So elicit an example and see what they can do without any help to start off with. Monitor carefully, and then when they've done as much as they can, if they haven't got all of the vocabulary, you can then give them the words and they can complete the ones that they haven't got. When they've done that, you'll need to concept check any which are, tricky. For example, basil. You might want to ask them, what is basil? What kind of food is it? Try and elicit herb. See if they can think of any other herbs. So think about your students and what will need checking in terms of meaning with this new vocabulary, and drill any which are difficult to say, highlighting word stress, okay, and any tricky sounds which relate to each one. So all this vocabulary that they've been learning in this first part of the lesson is going to relate to the tasks that they now need to do in the next part of the lesson. So they're now going to do a listening, exercise 4. They're going to listen to the ingredients needed for 2 recipes. And they're going to go back to the previous pictures, previous pictures of the vocabulary of food that they've just identified need to be visible to them, because they're going to tick the picture A or B which shows the correct ingredients for each recipe. So get them to listen through and peer check, get some feedback and confirm the answer visually. Now they're going to listen to the recipes again and complete the sentences. So make it clear when you're setting this up that more than one word can go in each gap. Okay, so they're not just listening out for one word, just like in the example here. Play it up to where question 1 is answered for the Cajun shrimp recipe, and allow them to write down the answer, quickly check together, get some feedback, make sure they've put the right thing, and then they can listen to the rest. Peer check. While you're monitoring the peer check, decide if they need to listen again. They probably will. Play it through again if necessary, and repeat the process of peer checking before you get your answers, making sure that they can see the answers on your slide. When they've completed the listening, they can do exercise 6. You can do it as a group discussion, and just talk about these 2 questions. Have you ever tried either of these dishes? Would you cook either of them for guests? And does either sound like a recipe from your country? They may have something similar that they cook in their country, if not the same. It's quite a nice opportunity here for students to share information about the kind of food that they eat in their countries. So now we're going to focus on the grammar part of the lesson. Okay, so the students will do exercise 7, and they're going to look at these phrases from the recipes that they've just listened to and underline the correct alternatives. Okay, so without listening, they're going to work together and decide which phrase is correct for each item of food. Okay, so for example, several or most of onions. It's several onions. Okay, get them to do number 1 together. Is it a few or a little herbs? The answer is a few. Why? Why is it a few? Because I can count herbs, and I use a few with nouns that I can count. I use a little with nouns that I can't count. Okay, get them working together and deciding which is the correct answer. Okay, you need to go through and underline the correct alternatives, and then get some answers. Now you're going to need it during feedback to be doing quite a lot of checking of meaning for each of these. Okay, so as it says in the teacher's book, most of the answers involve distinguishing between countable and uncountable nouns and ensuring singular and plural agreement. So for example, each onion, but all the onions with an S. And things like most of and some of in question 8 are incorrect, because they should be followed by the definite article. So some of the oil, for example. Okay, so this kind of thing needs to be checked in feedback to make sure they're really clear on A, what a countable and uncountable noun is, and B, which different phrases I can use with which type of noun. With the help of some good targeted CCQs, they can then go on to do exercise 8 in the book, which is to put the words in italics from exercise 7 into the correct column. So 3 columns, and they put the words into the correct column. So for example, a few is for countable nouns. Okay, a few kidney beans, for example. But a little would be for uncountable nouns, a little butter. So you can give them all the phrases from exercise 7 and allow them to work together and categorise them into the correct column in this table. Elicit an example to start them off, in addition to the 2 that they've been given, and check that they're sure about what they're doing, and really step back and allow them to work together on this one. Just be available if they need you for anything, but try not to get involved. Then once you've got some feedback and all the answers are in the correct columns, you can do some drilling. drill the phrases in context, take them from the audio, and so that the students can hear what they sound like in a sentence. So now they've covered the rules of the target language, time for some controlled practice. This activity is pretty straightforward and quite nice. They just have to read the text about Great British food and underline the correct alternative. Get them to do number 1 as an example, and then they can do the rest, peer check and get some feedback, clearing up anything that's still they're still not clear on, any doubts they have. It's useful to ask them why. Why is it a great deal of rain rather than a large number of rain? You know, you want to elicit that rain is uncountable, for example. Now it's time for some speaking practice. This activity is also quite nice. Number 10, think of a dish that you know how to cook. Make notes on ingredients and procedure, then explain how to make your dish to a partner. So this would be a lovely way to expand on that idea of sharing tips about their typical dishes from their country maybe, or just things that they love to eat. You could start off with giving them an example of a dish that you know how to cook and telling them how to make it, what the ingredients are and what the procedure is. So they've got a model to work from. So you would stage this activity carefully, give them 4 or 5 minutes to make some notes on the ingredients and procedure, and then get them talking together and exchanging ideas. And they could finish by saying which recipe they like the most, if there were any that they'd like to try, etc. Have the quantifying language visible to them while they're doing this activity so that they can remember to use it. So a little, a few, some, several, a bit of, a small amount of, etc. There are some nice additional materials in the teacher's book for language to go upper intermediate. So this is an extra speaking activity that they could do in groups, either instead of or after the individual task of exchanging recipes. So this is dividing the class into groups, or just getting them into 2 groups, or working as a whole group together, depending on the circumstances. And they give them either sheet A or sheet B, and explain that they have some 15 minutes to devise a 3-course meal from the given ingredients. And they could talk together. This is quite a fun activity. They could imagine they're having a dinner party and talk together and decide what they're going to make from the ingredients. And so in order to get them to be using the target language, the quantifying language, they need to go into quite a lot of detail about the recipes and how they would make each dish in their 3-course meal. So follow the same procedure, get some feedback afterwards about which 3-course meal people preferred, or which course in the 3-course meal people preferred, and do some error correction at the end. Get the students to look at any example sentences you've noted and correct any errors containing the target language. I think this would be a fun lesson, and it would work well.